Excelsior, motherfuckers! It's your boy, Ricky Grimes. You are watching the Comic Book Horrorshow on Horror Fiend TV. And guess what? We have a very special guest. No, we got not a special guest. We got the boss, El Jefe, the myth, the man, the legend. JR, what up, my brother?
Hey man, thank you for inviting me for this one. I used to collect Ghost Rider, but man, this made me want to go back to the comics or just tell Nick Cage why. But we'll talk about it.
And of course, the co-host, the man of the hour, Joe the psychologist. What up, my brother?
What's up, JR's face? I mean, that's literally what Nick Cage does in some scenes in this movie. Um, yeah, we're back to Marvel. I mean, obviously, Marvel does have a slew of horror, and I read these because JR collected it. I did do the Midnight Suns, which, when you watch the series, I've mentioned them before. But we got the resident writer over here tonight, so thankfully we got the person who knows a lot more than me for sure.
That's right, and we're going to be talking about everything Johnny Blaze, and no, not Method Man. We're going to be talking about this motherfucker. Ghost Rider first appeared in Marvel Comics in 1972 within the pages of issue number 5 of Marvel Spotlight. The character was created by Roy Thomas, Gary Friedrich, and Mike Plug. An early concept of the character would have existed prior back in 1967 as Western Comics. Ghost Rider would later go on to be renamed the Phantom Rider, following the success of the Ghost Rider in current publication. Ghost Rider would go on to take many aliases over the years, but it all started with the man known as Johnny Blaze. The supernatural hero would have sold his soul to the foul demon Mephisto in exchange for his foster father's life. No longer a famed stunt motorcyclist, Johnny Blaze would go on to become the hellspawn known as the Ghost Rider, manifesting the dark power of Hellfire, abilities like pyrokinesis, resurrection, Hellfire manipulation, necromancy, and the infamous penance stare. Ghost Rider is a very powerful adversary to sinners from all walks of life. With a rogues gallery of demonic enemies, Ghost Rider would blaze onto movie theater screens in 2007. The film was directed by Mark Steven Johnson and stars Nicolas Cage as Johnny Blaze, aka the Ghost Rider. Also featuring in this cinematic masterpiece is Peter Fonda as Mephisto and Wes Bentley as Blackheart. The gorgeous Eva Mendes plays love interest Roxanne as Sam Elliott is present as Mephisto's original Ghost Rider, Carter Slade, the Caretaker. Horror Fiend TV presents Ghost Rider. And with that being said, my brothers, you ready to rock and roll?
Oh yeah.
But before we start, we all cheer for big bottles of beer. Salute. The devil himself, Satan, or as we know him, Mephisto. Mephisto was in this movie. It's funny because I haven't seen this movie, Jesus, since I guess it came out. And when I saw the actor come in as Mephisto, I'm like, oh, I forgot. Some random old guy's Mephisto. Who's the actor, show? Who's the actor?
Ouch. Peter Fonda.
Peter Fonda. Holy shit.
Peter
That's
Fonda.
right.
Well, it's funny though because I was watching it with Adam and Adam's like, who's that? I'm like, Peter Fonda. He's like,
Yeah.
fuck, I haven't heard that name in a while. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I haven't either. Now watching the movie, I'm saying his name. I mean, it's Bridget Fonda's daddy. I mean,
Yeah,
Peter Fonda.
this is not shade to Peter
No,
Fonda. It's
I know
just,
because if you
yeah.
for the younger generation, if they watch the movie, it's a random person.
It's insanity because Mephisto has such a unique design. I mean, he is
Yes.
a devil. I don't want to say unique, but
Yeah.
unique to the Marvel universe. Though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's the devil, and all the hints. If you watch WandaVision, they hinted the fuck out of that character being the main antagonist behind everything, just for them to say, nah, it wasn't this at all. What's going on? This guy ever gonna come to the Marvel universe or the cinematic universe rather? But we got him here, and all right, well, this is what happens when they don't want to have the literal devil on screen. This reminds me of Dormammu back in Doctor Strange, but let's not get
Oh,
into that.
ooh.
Yeah, he offered up to buy Johnny Blaze's soul, and like he said, he was just a kid at the time. He signed that contract with blood. JR, let me ask you first, since you're the man, would you had taken that deal? Again, not JR now, but put yourself in young Johnny's position. That's kind of, we got to make it fair because
All
we
right,
can't
that's true.
talk in hindsight.
So, would I taken the deal? Now, this movie dropped in 2007. If it dropped in 2009, hell yeah, because it would have been part of a bigger universe. But yeah, I think I would have still made the deal. I mean, but I think I would have made a twist to it. Listen, I want the Spawn deal. I want after I do what I got to do, I'll join your side and we'll just like fuck shit up together. But yeah, I think I would have taken a deal. I mean, at this point, I think majority of people would. I mean,
Yeah.
now real quick though, let's go back to the Mephisto look. Mephisto's look in the comics is very charismatic, and that's the thing that about his look it is very charismatic.
Distinct.
Yes, and I mean, come on, dude has his hair going straight up. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
freaking cool. Looks all red, and the fact that, and I'm going to mention this later on. This is one of the knocks I have in this movie: the fact that they didn't go with CGI look, being that the Hulk dropped in 2003, so they were already dipping a little bit into the CGI. I would have taken the deal. I mean, I think I would have had more details because he just signed the contract without reading it and stuff, so he really didn't know what he was doing. But at the same time, I mean, come on, he got the cool ass bike. Who wouldn't want that bike?
That was a cool bike. What, Gracie? Interesting because you mentioned like he didn't read it. He actually did try to read it, and this makes it worse. He cut himself, and the blood hits the paper, and the guy's like, "Good enough." Wait, hold
Good
on,
enough.
motherfucker! I didn't read that shit. What are you doing?
Literally. I mean,
Yeah,
it
Joe.
played it played on the devil being the trickster.
Yes, yes.
Like literally, because he just accidentally cut himself, a drop of blood. He's like, good enough.
Yeah, it just shows you how
You're like,
naive young Johnny was.
yeah, you're like, but wait, I didn't even fucking read that shit, like, okay. And then daddy wakes up the next day, feeling just fine. But um sorry.
Would you do the deal, Joe?
So this is a weird one for me because this is something I've thought about. Truly, I've thought about, like, if the devil were to present me a deal, like, would I take it? It would have to be a pretty damn good deal for me to take it. But unfortunately, I also, being raised Catholic, know that the deal would have a caveat to it because you're going to get fucked over in the deal. I mean, you're making a deal with the devil here. There's a reason the saying is making a deal with the devil. What I did like about the movie, though, is the deal that he made it out of love, which the caretaker pointed out to him that your deal was made out of love. Generally, most deals made with the devil are made out of a selfish reason. What made the movie different was that Johnny's deal with the devil was made out of love. Generally, when in any horror movie you see someone's made a deal with the devil, it's for a selfish reason. So this is where Johnny got the power to, tell Mephisto, fuck you. I'm keeping this Ghost Rider because essentially it wasn't for a selfish reason. Would I make the deal? Like JR said, I would have to have, I would say, first of all, hold it open. Yeah, I'm not going to touch it yet. Just no, you hold it open so I can read it. Just in case, because I don't want to happen what happened to Johnny, where he accidentally cut himself and the drop of blood was good enough. Like, let me read this shit first. Hold on. Okay, we're gonna add some little asterisks on this deal here. Like literally, I've thought about this before. Like, as far as the devil making me a deal, it would depend on what it is and ultimately what the price you would pay for it. Mephisto, he cured his father and then showed up the fucking next day and let him die in an accident. He's like, well, no, I cured your father. That was the
What
deal.
was the deal?
Yeah, it's fucked up, but it still showed the character of Mephisto the way he is in the comics, that he's a trickster, kind of like Loki.
One thing I will say though, because we haven't touched upon this yet, when Johnny agreed to sign, he didn't know he was making a deal with the devil, which makes it worse because to him he's some random guy that just came up to him. I can cure your dad if you just sell me your soul. I would be like, what does that entail? How do I sell you my soul? What? Give me some details. Who are you, motherfucker? You know what I'm saying? None of that took
My
place.
soul, though. I mean, it's like you're literally like my soul. Wait a minute. Who are you?
Yeah, we know as the audience and comic book readers that we know who the character is. We know he is evil, essentially, obviously. So we're like, no, no, Johnny, don't do it. But he's like not even asking a lot of questions. He's just, all right. Me, to answer that question, I would never. If anything says, like you said, Joe, summon your soul, I'll cure your death. But no, no, wait a minute. There's always a caveat. There's always
Yeah.
this fine line that you can't read and you're not allowed to read because they're gonna use those words against you. Because he did cure his death, but then he took him right back, bro. He took his
In a
ass.
ring of fire. I
Terrible.
mean, out of all things, a ring of fire. I'm like, if anything, that's like telling Johnny, well, it's not just that. Your dad's going to hell too, because he died in a
Yeah.
ring of fire. I mean, it was like a double whammy for him
Yeah,
right there.
Now, speaking of hell, we got Johnny Blaze now has the power of Hellfire. Ghost Rider. He has a lot of unique supernatural abilities. Joe, now touch upon the portrayal in this film because we could be here forever talking about the character, but just the way he was portrayed as far as the character, the design, the powers, and even if you want to touch upon Nicolas Cage's portrayal as Ghost Rider himself.
I did like the slow development in him fully turning because even though you see the copy over my shoulder and I do have the copy, it had been a long time since I've seen this. So I really automatically went into when he turned into Ghost Rider, it was going to be full on the chains, the spikes. I appreciated the slow transformation. I did. It didn't jump right into it. Everything just came about as he was learning his powers. So I did like that. Um, as far as fully used, I'm gonna leave some of this stuff to JR as far as it, but you had the pen and stare, which is synonymous with Ghost Rider. I just kind of felt, as far as like when I read JR's books, that the character itself had more powers, just more abilities. To be able to, the capacity was just a lot more, and this one was a little bit kind of just suppressed. Maybe the CGI part. I'm still trying to tell myself that the flaming head, even though it did look small when you see it on there, it might actually be that small though, if you really, truly,
Yeah.
truly think about it.
If you want to get detail
Technical.
oriented, it has to. It's not gonna look like the size of your head because there's no flesh or muscle on there. You know,
And I had to keep telling myself that a couple of times.
it doesn't make a good visual though.
It did not make a good visual. This motherfucker kicks ass. I mean, he's not Superman. He's not the Hulk. This guy has a whole slew of other things that he can do
Yeah.
that we just did not get to see.
Before I throw to JR, I just want to throw in my little quick 2 cents on this. I've always loved the character of Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze. I have a lot of his older comics from the 70s and 80s. I wasn't really like after those older comics, I never really followed the character past that though, unfortunately. But the Penister was in this film. That's a very key element to the character of Ghost Rider. And how fucked up is that when you look into his eyes, man, and all the fucking sins you committed. You feel that pain, like everything just hitting you
Wow.
at once, and it fucks you up. So I think that was cool. The transformation scene, I think when I saw it, it reminded me, or not reminded me, but it made me feel, damn, if this was done now, imagine someone doing this, but treating it like the way Rick Baker did American Werewolf in London. Because you mentioned a slow transformation. Imagine that metamorphosis from Johnny Blaze to Ghost Rider, but his face is completely melting off. You see the flesh just melting away. I mean, you want to go horror, go full horror.
Yeah, because it just burned away in this one.
Yeah,
It didn't melt away. It just like pixelated
But the
away.
problem with this film is the CGI, and it's not that it was terrible or Ghost Rider looked kind of bad. Let's be real. I'm gonna throw it out there right now. Especially the way the voice, I wasn't a fan of that either. So with the Ang Lee film, I think it's just a matter of budget. I mean, that was a much heavier budget on that film as compared to this one. So I don't think I think that's why Mephisto and Blackheart were just regular dudes walking around, as opposed to just being the way they look in the comics.
When he turns to Ghost Rider, he takes on the power of the demon Zarathos, who's one of the strongest demons in hell. So the fact that he is one of the strongest demons, but when you see how he is portrayed in this film, it's he a lot of him was held back. Now, the thing about when this demon takes over a human host, it does weaken the demon's abilities because of the host body, the human host body, it lacks its full capabilities of doing everything it can actually do. But that being said, it still has superhuman strength. The chains I felt like could have been used a lot more than they were used. It felt like subtle. The thing too is when he turns into Ghost Rider, he's not Johnny Blaze. He's the Ghost Rider, which is the personification of this demon. So he could have did a lot more in this film. And I'll tell you one scene in particular that really kind of pissed me off a little bit was he gets hit by a truck, and the dude comes out the that was easy. Now with the superhuman strength, he could have easily pushed the hell out of this truck, flipped it, done something. And the fact that as the guy's walking away, he grabs him. Hey, I mean, really, dude, just start showing how strong this guy is. I wasn't a big fan of the transformation at all. One part in particular is when Nick Cage decides to start laughing. That just bothered the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I
It was
mean,
very over the top, Nick Cage.
yes, and that's
Goofy.
I'm
That's what I mean. Goofy.
yeah,
Goofy,
yeah.
goofy,
I think
goofy.
it's who Nick Cage is. This is who he is as an actor. I'm not knocking him. Nick Cage is a good actor, but this is one of the things he does often. And I think I was not a big fan of him being Johnny Blaze. I'll mention later on who they actually had in mind to be the original Johnny Blaze before another role came up. When the fire comes out his helmet, now the fire could go higher. The fact that they kept it kind of, in a certain area. Come on. He could go out. I mean, it's just I feel like this film did a lot to really downplay the power of the Ghost Rider. They didn't do a good job to showing who Ghost Rider truly is.
So let's talk about Wes Bentley's character, Blackheart. Now we are familiar with Blackheart. We're comic book fans. This is another character where just random guy. He don't look demonic anymore, but he's a very interesting character. Of course, he is the son of Mephisto. That's his daddy. Gr, what do you know about this character? Enlighten us, please, and also talk about obviously the Ghost Rider film version.
Blackheart debuted actually in the Daredevil comic book. We say that he's Mephisto's son, Mephisto actually created him. The task of creating him was I need you to go on Earth and I need you to corrupt two people, Spider-Man and Daredevil. That is your mission.
Yep.
He could not corrupt either one of them, and he failed, and therefore he was viewed as a failure to his daddy, Mephisto. Which later on in the comic books, we find out Blackheart actually joins the Hellfire Club, which I did not read. What made Blackheart a unique villain was his look. I was saying how Ghost Rider they didn't show his full capabilities. Blackheart was very powerful. And once again, he is almost as matched up to Zarathos as far as their power. And the fact that I did not like, I mean, I understand the CGI. Ironically, this film dropped in 2007. A year later, Iron Man dropped. So the fact that you had a lot of CGI
Iron
year
Man
later.
was 2008. Yeah,
2008.
I thought it was 7.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
2000.
Dude.
That's what I'm saying. If they
But
would have
again,
waited one more
the
year,
budget.
you would have had the
Budget.
money to put into the CGI because Blackheart's appearance was what made him a unique villain. Now they go into the human form, which I had a hard time because I see this guy and I just think of American Beauty,
Me too.
Yeah,
Thank you. That's exactly. It's
which
I couldn't get
killed
past
me.
it.
But then they had a spoof called Not Another Teen Movie, which made fun of that the actor. Which now, when I saw the movie, I'm like, oh my god, I can't unsee the spoof on him on Another Teen Movie with him with the camera holding the balloon, which I had a hard time. And don't get me wrong, he's a great actor. I'm not knocking
Yes.
him, but I feel like to play the Blackheart character, they should have somebody that looked a little bit more intimidating, a little bit more
Demonic.
demonic. I couldn't take him seriously, and that's the issue I had with him playing this villain because I like the Blackheart character. I love when he
Yeah,
fought
he's
Daredevil.
another character visually striking.
Yes, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
if you don't have the CGI and you can't create the look of the character, find an actor who just has that appearance that you're like, this fucker is evil. Because I couldn't even when he made jokes, he smirked and stuff. I just couldn't take him seriously as the Blackheart character because you're pitting him against Ghost Rider. And the fact that you make him look like that, even his jokes, the dialogue, I mean, everything about the character just irked me because
Yeah.
the Blackheart character, he is a fun character. I mean, he's powerful. I mean, possesses superhuman strength. You didn't see that barely any time in this film. I mean, he also has telekinetic and telepathic powers. He can levitate. He can teleport interdimensionally. He can change his size, physical form. These are all these powers that they should have shown in that final battle with Ghost Rider. And he could take souls, but unlike his father, he could take them in different manners. So it's not like his father could just sign he needs to sign the contract in order to take somebody's soul. Blackheart could just take it.
My biggest gripe with this character is the fact that he came off more to me as like this spoiled, rich,
Emo.
entitled brat, an emo character.
Emo.
Absolutely,
He was
1000%.
emo. The look. I'm sorry to cut you off. The look, as JR was describing
Yep.
the way he was played, it was emo,
Mhm.
and the look was actually
Yeah,
emo.
they came with the white. He looked like someone from The Cure, like that band, The Cure.
Oh my God! Yes,
Mhm.
I'm with JR because when the character was introduced, he was introduced to be in Daredevil. So when he was introduced, it was to fight two morally incorrupt characters, Daredevil and Spider-Man. He felt flat in the movie. Huge fan of Wes Bentley. He is actually a great actor. Unfortunately, with what he was given. By the way, the same writer and director of Ghost Rider did Daredevil a year before.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I remember when that came
So
out. Roger Ebert, when Daredevil came out, I will never forget this, man. He said he prefers Daredevil over Spider-Man because the way they portrayed Daredevil and the CGI when he moved around and stuff, especially when he was leaping from like building to building with his powers, his baton and shit, he felt like he had weight to him as opposed to Spider-Man where it felt he was floaty. It didn't feel real. He felt CGI. I would
well,
never forget that.
Blackheart is a powerful being. I mean, he's a being. He's not even a human.
Yeah.
He's a demon. He has insurmountable amount of power and abilities, and it was so diminished in here. You know, the other part I hated was when he grabbed Ghost Rider after Ghost Rider tried to do the penance stare, and he slammed him down and was able to turn Ghost Rider back into Johnny. I'm like, that shit would not really
Yeah.
have fucking happened in the comic books. What? The fight should have been a lot more visceral. It should have been basically two demons because if I take it the wrong way, is Blackheart's just kind of pissed off that he kind of falls second in line to what Mephisto creates to be his people, Ghost Rider being number one. So Blackheart is essentially jealous of Ghost Rider. And Jared, what was the name of the Ghost Rider? The
Zarathos.
Zarathos. So yeah, I was not a fan of the Blackheart character. I wasn't a fan of the Blackheart look. The whole
Yeah.
emo look to him, the dark with the pale face, the fucking eyebrows. I'm sorry, but his eyebrows like killed me because they were supposed to meant to look, I guess, evil. But yeah, man, I forgave the movie for the most part with the Ghost Rider look, but the Blackheart look, and then getting the flash of the smile, like what he would actually look like, and that being it was just they did not do justice to the Blackheart character in the movie at all.
Let's wrap this one up. Closing thoughts. Joe, if you would please do us the favors and give us that rundown of our rating system for a comic book horror show.
All right. So obviously, because we're comic book people, we're going with the mutant power level here. Epsilon being 1, beta being 2, alpha being 3, and omega being 4. This is a beta for me. and we can't even do like three corners of horror where we can go in between, unfortunately. But this is a beta for me. Um, so much close to an alpha because it didn't do it justice. However, we have to remind ourselves when we're talking about these movies, we're talking about the time they were made. So we can't go about hello. I mean, obviously, Marvel has completely ruined it for the CGI and special effects for us. We just have to remember we're talking about the movie at that time. Special effects, they were okay. The best special effects went to the motorcycle and how the motorcycle ran. I did love the look of the Phantom Rider. I'm glad they,
Good shout, by the way. Thank you for bringing him up. That's
yeah,
a
no,
good. That's a deep cut right there, bro.
I mean, well, here's the thing, and it's funny
Sam
because
Elliott too. Nice.
like I sat here and obviously because of Donald Logue had played a vampire in that one, and then watching him be the good guy here, it's kind of hard because I was hoping he was going to turn into a vampire and kind of tie the whole thing in, but it's not going to happen. You can clearly tell that Nicolas Cage had a lot of control in how the character was. Seeing like when he's sitting there trying to turn into him, he's looking in the mirror and he's like, oh, like it was just so corny. I hated the Nicolas Cage's personal touches to this movie.
JR, what up, son? Let's give us your score and whatever else you want to close up with.
For me, it's definitely Epsilon because they did nothing in this film to really show who Ghost Rider really is. The ironic thing about it is Nick Cage wasn't the person that was originally going to be offered the role of Johnny Blaze. The producer of this film, A.V. Everett, actually had somebody else in mind, Eric Bana. But he convinced Eric Bana to go play the Hulk, which
The
was a big
Hulk.
mistake.
Oh no.
So if Eric Bana would have played Johnny Blaze, I think the film would have been a lot better because Eric Bana is a great actor who has such a high level of what he can do playing different characters. So that was a big mistake by the producer. And then the fact is, once again, a year later, we get Iron Man, which was in the works for a couple of years, and yet you couldn't tap into Marvel. Hey, could you give us a little bit more money this way so we could make proper CGI characters of or practical effects of Blackheart instead of going with what I believe is what would happen if Eddie Munster had evil powers and became a villain. There you have that character, Blackheart. And then to top it off, it just
I'm sorry, but that was right.
Where you pull that one from, though? God, now I'm gonna see Eddie Munster every time I fucking see.
It's
I see
awesome.
this
It's right though. It's like an older Eddie Munster.
yeah, but for me, it's just they had so many misses on this. And to take it to Joe's point, this was basically Nick Cage saying, hey, I ain't get to play Superman, so I'm gonna go mess up Ghost Rider. It's just there was a lot of things in this I had issues with. Now, to go back and about a proper Ghost Rider look, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. brought up the Robbie Reyes character, who takes form of the Ghost Rider. He doesn't have the bike, but the car he has is freaking awesome.
Yeah, never. He needs a bike. He needs a bike.
Well, he was the next Ghost Rider.
He was the next Ghost
Yeah,
Rider.
but
you could give him the bike though. But
And-
the Robbie Reyes transformation and his look as
Good.
Ghost Rider,
good. No, it's good.
amazing. And it made you totally forget about this one.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was a little
Shut
bit
up.
more blood.
He's gonna be your next Ghost Rider. Let's be real.
He should be the next Ghost
It
Rider.
ain't Johnny
It's
Blaze.
gonna be
It's-
Robbie.
It should be Robbie because he's already had the character.
I prefer
in Mulholland
Johnny
season.
Blaze. I'm a
I know.
You
I'm
can
a
always bring back
traditionalist.
Johnny. You can always bring back
I'm the
Johnny.
same way too, but I think Marvel is going to look back at this one and go, let's go with Robbie.
When he's a young, the young Johnny Blaze, handsome guy. Let's be real. It's
That long.
handsome guy. Yeah.
Yeah, man, long. I would have gone with him.
And then when he's an adult, he's Nicolas Cage. Like he's a
It's
pretty gawky
ugly.
looking guy. But what happened to
It's
him?
not-
He looks
yeah,
nothing like
no.
that guy. I mean, they try to go in
No.
the same hairstyle, but I don't know. But I'll be real. Like I enjoyed the first hour of this film, or up until he turned into Ghost Rider. I liked when he was the young version with him and his dad, the carnival. His dad passes away. He dips out on Roxanne. He goes out on his own. Then it transitions to that awesome scene. And I must say, it is an awesome scene when you transition from that and the way it went to Crazy Train, and you see him as an adult. He's famous. He's got all the people riled up again, riling him up, and he does that jump and he fails. I just love that transition. And I was enjoying the film on my rewatch up until when he became Ghost Rider and I saw how bad he looked. I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I didn't like this movie. Because, even though not a fan of the Mephisto portrayal, it's until
Better.
he becomes Ghost Rider. And I didn't realize he didn't become Ghost Rider until like 45 minutes into the film, around
Oh,
that
yeah.
time frame. It took a while. So they did a
did.
lot of character building, which is fine. Because like I said, I did enjoy that half of the film. But once he became Ghost Rider, then it became a CGI, smorgasbord of like bad effect after bad effect and dumb moment after dumb moment. That's when it lost me. I'm gonna give it a beta, because of I liked the first half. I did. I'm not gonna lie. I was enjoying it as a character study.
Origin.
Now
Good origin.
again, not comparing it to the comic books. Okay, I know it's not gonna be that. Let me just get what they're trying to sell me. And I was like, it's not bad. I mean, I've seen worse, but then once he became Ghost Rider, I'm like, oh no. Interesting though, Rebel Wilson was in this movie as that punk
Was
chick.
that her?
Yeah.
I thought that was her.
I'm like,
when she's
yeah.
talking, I'm like, man, is that Rebel?
You can't. Even as a youngster, that's her. Bro.
I didn't look up the credits.
I'm like, damn, man. Yeah, this film could have been so much more. And yeah, if they do bring in Robbie Reyes, I hope they give him the bike. Not that I don't like the car, but we need the bike first.
Yeah.
There has to be the bike. And
That's
please, and I know he's a Hispanic character. I'm Hispanic. Us three are. I want Johnny Blaze. I'm sorry. Don't. For the first time, for the first MCU character, give us the original. Don't.
the way it
Please.
is.
Don't try and. You don't gotta try and kid it to me. I'm not that kind of guy. I don't do that, please, because
Actually,
Johnny Blaze is Ghost Rider to me. Everyone else makes sense within the story but they wouldn't be where they're at if it wasn't for Johnny Blaze.
Johnny
So how can
Blaze,
we have
yep.
the character and the mythology of Ghost Rider if it does not start with the Johnny Blaze
Johnny
character?
Blaze. Agree.
That's all I'm gonna say about that. But
Agreed.
yeah, anything else you guys want to bring up?
I'm good.
All
Good.
set, all set. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Comic Book Horror Show. Come back next month. We're gonna have another great episode. Stay tuned for that. With that being said, I'm Ricky Grimes, Joe the Psychologist, and JR. So with that being said, stay good, stay healthy, stay sane, stay scared, and Joe,
We are out.